everyone, and welcome. Come on in and grab your iced tea, or honestly, at this point in the summer, grab a whole water bottle because it is going to be a bit of a theme this month. So here we are. It is our monthly metaphysics outlook, and we are in July 2026. We've officially hit the halfway point of the fire horse year, and we are stepping into the final month of summer's fire. This chapter of the calendar runs July 7th through August 6th. Now, I'm going to be straight with you because that's kind of the theme of the whole month. Some people call this the doom and gloom stretch of the year, and I get why, but I want you to stay with me because I promise you this is not a doom and gloom kind of conversation. This is more like the conversation you have with a good friend who looks at you across the table and just says, "Oh, hey, you look tired. Why don't you sit down?" Not the friend who says, "You look amazing, keep going," when you honestly are exhausted. July 2026 isn't a catastrophe, it's a clarification. And by the end of our time together today, I think you're going to feel a lot more relief than dread. Because once you understand what this month is actually made of, you stop fighting it and you start working with it. So let's get into it. Now, you know, if you follow me, I always ask you to play along at the end because I want this to speak directly to you. And in order to do that, you need to know what your chart, your destiny chart, your life chart holds. Now, you also have to understand that that's not written in stone. But when you know the ingredients you're cooking with, you know what you can make with those ingredients, right? So if this is a month where you're clashing, wouldn't you like to know that so that you don't set off and try to launch something that's life-changing and instead waiting for a month that's not clashing you? So to find your chart, you can do this one of two ways. First, you can scan the QR code that's on the screen right now, or you can head over to amytyson.com. My name is super easy to remember how to spell. The last name is comprised of the word the. The word is followed by an E-N. So amytyson.com. When you're on that page, you will find up in the upper right-hand corner where it says enroll in free courses. Click that, enter your email address, and then once you're inside, you've created your password, you will have access to the chart generators. There's two of them. One is your Bazi chart. The other is your Chiman chart. We need the Bazi chart for today. And if you like this stuff, I have 3 free classes on that site as well. No strings attached. You can take those classes and learn a little bit more all about you. So you can get the chart those 2 ways. So let's talk about the energy that is underneath this month. I like to call this the energetic blueprint or footprint because everything else we discuss today grows out of this one central fact. This month is dry. And I mean almost literally. There's a couple of ways we can get water, and I will show you how as we go through this session. But when we look at the configuration for July, there is no water anywhere in it. None. No cooling element. No replenishment on the horizon. We've got the Yin Wood Goat stepping into a fire horse year. And the goat is bringing its own fire and its own yin earth and some yin wood to match the horse's already relentless blaze. And the result is an environment that is essentially all heat and no water. It is the searing peak of summer bleeding into its exhausted, wrung out end. Last month, I gave you the image of this thoroughbred racehorse, fresh, breaking through from the gate because it's been waiting there, but it has no jockey. And it is running full on, full steam, head on. And now it finds itself in the desert, having run itself out, exhausted, with no water in sight. Poor thing. So here's the chart of the month. So this is going to look very similar to your life chart, except this is the chart of the year. And as a Bazi practitioner, I read this chart to know what's going to be happening for the year and what is the undertone for each and every month. So it shows the part, it shows us the part that makes life feel really demanding right now. We have an Earth Daymaster. See in the blue on my slide where it says Daymaster right there? That is telling every other little icon in this chart how to act. The Daymaster is us. It represents us, the population for the year. Now, as an earth, a yin earth specifically, that's like that dry desert sand this month, the earth's job is to create metal. It's the output element of the earth. The thing is, this month, the output element, the metal element, is getting activated in all sorts of different ways all at once. And this yin earth is going to be exhausted. One way that the metal is coming out is the wood of the wood goat month is combining with the yang metal in the month and creating more metal. So we've got the yang metal standalone. We've got more metal created with the yin wood this month. Plus this yin earth day master is sitting on top of metal. So it's output upon output upon output. That is why I want you to picture dry, cracked earth being asked to grow a garden. Picture yourself wringing out a cloth that was already bone dry 3 twists ago. That's the ask this month. A lot of us are being expected to produce and to give and to deliver from a place that is already running low. Now, why does this matter to you personally? Because when the whole environment is depleted, the smart move isn't to squeeze harder, it's to conserve. It's really to be honest about your reserves and protect the water you've got. Hold on to that idea, because that one's going to come back again and again as we go through the rest of this session. Now I'd like to zoom in on a specific relationship at the heart of this month, and that's the formation between the horse and the goat. And I have it outlined in that big red box. This horse and goat creates what we call a 6 harmony. The goat comes in and it really likes the horse. They are best buds, they're best friends, and they love each other so very much. And they come together. And now harmony sounds pretty lovely, right? Like it's really peaceful. But this particular harmony produces what is known as the sun-moon combination, a total fusion of fire and dry earth, and it creates a flash of fire, beautiful and powerful. And if we're not careful, potentially a little bit dangerous. It's the searing height of summer, all concentrated into one point. And I'm not talking just about physical fire, like the wildfires out in Colorado. But here's the image I want you to hold on to. Horse goat combined carries what's called the sun-moon flash, and a sudden total illumination that leaves absolutely nothing in shadow. Everything gets lit up. Everything gets seen in a flash. It doesn't last long. It's like boom, and then it's gone. So that can sound a little intense. So I want to bring it down to what we can possibly think of it as. Think of it less like a disaster movie and more like the moment that you're at a summer garden party or potluck, and a gust of wind catches somebody's toupee and sends it sailing straight into the chip tip. Maybe it's a 7-layered tip. Everybody gasps, and then everybody laughs, and everybody moves on because honestly, we all kind of knew about the toupee. We were just being polite about it. That's the flavor of this combination. It is revealing. It pulls the covers off of things that were already true, but that everybody was too polite to mention. So the reassuring part is that revelations feel like endings, but they're actually beginnings. You cannot fix what you cannot see. And after this month, everybody will be able to see. The sun just got too high and too hot for anybody's hairpiece glue to hold. So think about this month. What is going to be revealed to you that you kind of knew was there, but now that it's really showing up, you got to take care of it. Now, let's step over to the Western astrology. This is not my forte, so I do rely on quite a bit of research for this, but I think it's important to look at another field of study because the sky's telling us the exact same story from a different angle. And timing on some of this is honestly a little uncanny. So the first is a big one. We are already in Mercury retrograde. I mentioned it in last month's video. It began June 29th, so not that long ago if you're watching this early in the month of July. It runs until July 23rd, when Mercury finally, and this is the astrological term, stations direct. And it's retrograde in the constellation Cancer, which is all about home, family, roots, and old feelings. So if the past comes knocking this month, an old conversation, an old ache, an old dream that you put aside, that's the retrograde in action. Now, retrograde always reminds us to back up our files, read the email before you hit send, give yourself permission to revisit ideas rather than launching something new right now. Then we've got two really beautiful lunar moments. Now, we typically have a new moon and a full moon each month. This month, the new moon lands on July 14th, right in the heart of retrograde, which also makes it just an absolutely delicious time to quietly return to that dream or project you set aside earlier this year. Not to force it, just pick it up, look at it, and see, is the timing right? And then we have the full moon in Aquarius on July 29th. This brings in a moment of release. Time to release a fear, a habit, or a version of yourself that you've been choosing survival over peace. The full moon is going to tell you, you can put that down now. It's time to let go. And this is the aspect that I really want to circle. It's on July 20th. It's when Jupiter stands opposite Pluto, and it's paired with what astrologers call Bareboat's basket. And this creates potential for unsustainable systems to finally break. They break because of pressure. This entire month is supporting radical honesty, an honest review of your boundaries and your commitments. So when the heavens and the elements, the earth, agree this cleanly, it is about cleaning. It's worth listening to because all that's missing is the human. In metaphysics, the cosmic trinity is heaven, earth, human. So we've got the heavens, we have the earth, all that's missing is us. So of course, we are going to be affected by the energy and we want to work with it rather than push against it. I want to zoom out a moment and look at another system to see some of the same patterns being repeated. We take a look at the Qimen chart. So Qimen is an aspect of Chinese metaphysics. It's very old. It's actually one of the foundational principles of feng shui, of Bazi, and a part of the I Ching is in here as well. The yearly Qimen chart is where we look, and it has something to say about July because we move to the southwest quadrant. So here's how it works. The goat is our host for the month. The goat lives in the southwest. So to see how the year's Qimen chart is going to color the goat, we knock on the door of the southwest. Hello, southwest, what's in here? And the welcoming committee answers, and it's answered by the tortoise guardian, the life door, the destructor star, and the yang fire element. So the destructor star sounds kind of like something you want to uninvite, but stay with me because this whole quadrant is pretty great. And it's showing us something rare, a real opportunity to showcase talent. The life door is all about vitality, opportunity, and growth. And the tortoise guardian is steady and protective, very intuitive. Yang fire is the big visible fire, not the candle in the corner, but the big bright sun, the spotlight. Then we have that destructor star. It's not the wrecking ball aimed at you. It's the demolition crew that comes in before the renovation. So here's what the palace supports. It supports taking bold action. Wait a minute, Amy. Everything you've talked about so far is like, hold back, conserve your energy, just take a look at things. The caveat is you need to have the clarity to move. Clarity first, boldness second. The destructor star says it plainly. Tear down outdated thinking. Oh, we've heard that already. Outdated approaches and rebuild better. New formats, new messaging, new beliefs. Rebuild boldly and growth will accelerate. The fine print here is the Palace Axe for courage. It carries 3 warning labels. Push too hard, you burn out. Take it on all at once, and the emotions will overwhelm you. If you come in over aggressive, you will alienate the very people you are trying to reach. Bold, yes. Bulldozer, no. Now, we need to widen the lens a little bit more. Southwest isn't just any palace. On the world stage, it governs the masses, women, mothers, land itself. Think food, agriculture, housing. So the same demolition energy plays out globally. This is where the caution scales. I want you watching for a tearing down dressed up as reform. Lots of yang fire showmanship. No renovation plan behind it. Remember, the destructor star's mandate is rebuild. And the ones who skip that half get remembered for the rubble. Now notice, big fire on dry earth with no water anywhere means that heat, drought, strain on food and land, which is exactly going to be showing up in another second, because it's another system we're going to see the next warning. When these warnings happen, I listen. Expect public mood to run hot and reactive, with people instinctively closing ranks around home and community. And here's how this squares with everything else. I've been saying the landscape is dry, conserve your water. So why is this palace telling you to push? Because this is the one palace that the chart hands you the bucket, if you've earned it. If you spent June getting clearer, releasing what needs releasing, aka what I told you last month, transforming what needs transforming, then you're ready. Your well is full, and the Southwest is exactly where you are allowed to go bold. Let's take a look at the hexagram. This is the deep current running under all of it. No pun intended when you find out what this is. And this is a fantastic hexagram. July 2026 draws its water, pun absolutely intended, from hexagram 48, the well. Here's the ancient judgment. The well. One may change the city, but the well remains, without loss or gain. People come and go to draw water. If the rope does not reach or the jug breaks, the water is not drunk. This brings regret. Yet, if used properly, great blessings flow. So as we sit with that for a second, the well is the one thing that doesn't change. Towns rise and fall, people move, fortunes flip, but the water beneath stays exactly what it always was, offered freely to anyone willing to lower the bucket. The energy of this month is not about generating something brand new. It's about whether you can still reach what has always sustained you, and whether the vessel you're using to draw it up is actually intact or has sprung some leaks or maybe is broken. That is showing up everywhere. In the wider world, July emphasizes restoration over revolution, reconnecting institutions to their founding why rather than reinventing them. So we can expect water shortages and the opposite, fire issues, aging infrastructure, environmental strain to move into focus almost as literal expressions of the well that no longer reaches its source. And also watch for the danger the hexagram names most clearly: cosmetic change. A fresh coat of paint on a well whose rope has rotted through. In your work, success will come from depth, not volume, depth. If you are in business, make your offers more nourishing, not just more visible. Audit your internal wells, your mission, yours and your team's or family's morale. Your clients' experiences matter. And ask honestly whether the source has quietly run low while your attention was someplace else. In your relationships, this is a really strong window for heart-to-heart conversations you may have been putting off. Repaired not with a grand gesture, but with steady, consistent presence. Now, the shadow to watch is expecting someone else to fill your well while you skip over your own inner work. Two people arriving empty and performing as though everything is okay, that will strain the relationship. However, if you tend your own depth first, what you bring becomes genuinely replenishing. Now, emotionally, yes, emotionally, this has been a very emotional year. We see it play out everywhere. Emotions run hot. If you feel dry this month, empty, a little thirsty in the soul, the well is reframing this. It is not a problem. It is a wake-up call. It is a summons. It is a nudge to go inward and reconnect with your soul food, the practices, the memories, the people that actually nourish you. The water was always there. The work is just remembering how to reach it. That is the lesson of this month. So now let's make this practical. What are the 5 things to be focused on and the 5 things that we want to avoid? Let's lean into conserving resources. Treat your time, your energy, and your money with respect. Like the last water in the canteen before you cross a pretty long stretch without anything. And practice saying, I just don't have to give right now, without guilt. If you need to breathe this month so you actually have reserves for August, then do it. Number 2, practice radical honesty. Tell the truth early about what is working and what isn't. Admitting you're depleted isn't a failure. It is the first honest step toward relief. And here's the secret. When everyone else is secretly running on empty, the first person brave enough to say it out loud actually becomes the leader. Audit your internal wells. Check the structural integrity of your life. Are your mission, your relationships, your purpose, your daily practices, what you're doing every day still connected to their original nourishing source? Or has that rope quietly frayed and you are no longer in alignment with where your passion is calling? Where would you feel more fulfilled? And then begin to move there. Deepen the value you already have. Focus on retention, on long-term support, on making what you already offer more nourishing, more valuable, rather than chasing flashy expansion or cranking up marketing noise. Focus on more value. And then number 5 is take quiet, precise action. Precise is the key. Do one thing beautifully instead of 7 things poorly. Be the desert sage with that deep root who finds the one vein of water that everyone else missed. Now, what do we have to watch out for? Things to avoid, things to be paying attention to. Number 1, don't force growth or launch. This is not the month to start a new big project, expand aggressively, or push through exhaustion. It is not the month for brand new intense fitness regimes either. That's just the more demand output from a dry earth. That is, unless you did the work of June and are clear and focused and have the depth to sustain, then you push hard. Do not perform fullness. What the heck does that mean, Amy? Stop pretending you've got abundance when you're running on fumes. Being busy because stillness makes you uncomfortable is not a good plan. That's a fast track to burnout. Number 3 to avoid, don't mistake cosmetic change for real repair. Do not slap fresh paint on a broken system. If the rope is rotting, you have to replace the rope. A prettier bucket doesn't help if it can't reach the water. It is time to do real repair if you notice something isn't working. Number 4, don't let people drain your well. Distance yourself from relationships that only take and never give back. We call that bad chi, guys. It's a leak in your bucket. Be honest about which connections are reciprocal and protect your reserves from the ones that aren't. And number 5, don't make promises you cannot keep. That's a big one. That's a broken jug. Talking big and acting small. Every unkept word is a tiny crack. And those cracks cost you trust and relationships and money this month. Fewer promises, better kept. That's a good strategy. Truth told early is medicine. Truth told late is surgery. So how does this month actually move? What's the arc? What are we looking at? We are looking at the beginning, an empty fridge moment. So picture, goats like to eat, right? Imagine a goat has nothing to eat. They're looking at an empty fridge. So picture this, a whole neighborhood had signed up for a summer potluck. And then nobody went grocery shopping. June is when you went grocery shopping, right? And in early July, everyone's opening their fridge, staring at a bare shelf and realize they promised 7-layer dip and have only 2 layers worth of ingredients. That's where depletion becomes undeniable. You feel it. Everybody feels it. And that's exactly the strange relief in finally admitting it. Because pretending was always more exhausting than the problem. If you did your shopping in June, your fridge is full, so get cooking. Beginning of the month, get cooking, because everybody else is not. The middle is the wall. And this is right where Jupiter opposes Pluto on the 20th. We hit what you can think of as mile 23 in a marathon. You trained for the 10K and somehow you got registered for the full marathon. And at mile 23 is where your body says, absolutely not. Your mind has to start negotiating and they're arguing. This is where unsustainable systems start to crack and strain and sometimes break. But here's what every other marathoner knows. Mile 23 is not where you die. It is where you finally drop the killing pace and find one that'll actually carry you home. That wall is not the enemy, it is the teacher. So watch what might be hitting the wall around this time of the month for you. Around mid-month, where are you just like, oh my gosh, I can't do it anymore. This is where you have to find a better pace. And then the ending, the final part of July is when we move toward the full moon on the 29th. The energy shifts towards release and honest repair. This is the toupee finally landing in the chip dip and everybody laughs, laughing instead of gasping. It's the empty fridge turning into honest potluck where everybody brings what they have, a bag of chips, a box of crackers, some honesty, and a willingness to laugh. Somehow that gathering ends up more nourishing than the perfect dip ever would have been. Now, before I head into the personalization portion, I'd like to invite you to check out my Alignment Advantage Guide, personalized each month, sent to you directly. It's your blueprint for how to move through the month strategically and aligned to it. It includes your Daymaster analysis, your personal Chiman quadrant strategy, your life stars imprint for the month, along with 2 custom feng shui activations. And it actually outlines if you are clashed, harmed, or combined with the month and what it means for you. If you continue after your first month, it's $29.97 a month, but I do send you a reminder if you just want to try the free month, see what it's like. You can bow out after that. It's super easy to get started. Head over to my website, amytyson.com, scroll past the month's video, and you'll see a link right there. Sign up, and I'll send it to you right away. Now, in closing for this month, here's where we land. July 2026 is not a catastrophe, it's clarification, delivered with the warmth of someone who loves you enough to tell you the truth. The cracked earth in our image is a month that is not the end of the story. It's the moment right before somebody decides to dig a well instead of praying for rain. It's the fridge that was empty that leads to an honest potluck. And it's even the toupee and the dip that finally lets everyone laugh and move on. So rest where you can. Tell the truth where it matters, conserve what you have, trust deeply, stubbornly against all appearances that the deep roots don't grow in seasons of abundance, they grow in seasons like this one. If you didn't fulfill what you needed to get done in June so that you can run in July, this is not the month to run. Rain is coming, it's just not here yet, and that's completely okay. Now, all of this is the landscape of the month for everyone. It's the global undertone. But how it lands specifically for you in your chart is where it gets personal. So stay with me because it's time to play along. We need to know, how's it going to show up for you? If you have not found your life chart, please go back to the beginning of this video, take care of that. But we're going to talk through who's clashed, who's harmed, who's combined. Our clash animal is the ox. The harm animal is the rat. The sixth harmony we talked extensively about already. It is the goat and the horse. And the three harmony is the pig, the rabbit, with the goat. So you have pig or rabbit, you have three harmony this month. So where are you looking? If you have your chart in front of you and have not memorized your animals, here's where you're looking. You're looking at the hour, day, month, year, and even the luck pillar in your chart. So it looks like this. All of the names are written in English on your chart. So you can take a look. Do I have ox? Nope. Do I have rabbit? Oh, yes, I do. I have a three harmony with the goat. Do I have the rat? Nope. Do I have the horse? No. So this individual will be paying attention to the three harmony that we get to soon. Where it appears in your chart matters. If you have the ox in your month, it means you can expect some upheaval in your career, or maybe with your boss, or your work performance, or something related to money, possibly this month. If it appears in your hour, it's a vastly different interpretation of how it might land for you. So let's talk about that clash, this ox that is being clashed this month. So if you have an ox in your chart, this pertains to you. This is a clash that is fire and water and wood and metal. It can cause some frustration for you, some confusion about not really knowing what to do next or where to turn or how to get out of circumstances that you're in. This clash can prevent progress towards some sort of goals. However, when you have a clash, it can actually create a catalyst for change. So embrace it and go with the flow and figure out what you can change rather than have the change thrust upon you. Again, go and see where it is affecting you in your chart if you have the ox, so you know what aspect of your life you ought to be changing. So if it's in your day, if you're someone who typically always stays home and is in bed by 9, maybe this month you go out a little bit more and you go to bed at 10 and you get up a little later, or you get up earlier and go to bed earlier. You change something out about you personally. That's how you can work with that clash. The harm animal is the rat. So if you have rat in your year, month, day, hour, or luck cycle, this is usually, harm is more emotional. You might have a lesson in trust. There could be some betrayal type energy going on. People could be gossiping about you. You also might be given some misleading information or incomplete information. Therefore, if you have rat in your chart, depending on where it is, if you have a decision to make sure you ask people you trust to vet the decision you are about to make sure you haven't missed anything. You are also the ones that may be just feeling a little bit blah. That is a very technical term. You might feel blah this month. Do your best. Emotions only affect you if you allow them to. So do all you can to get out of the blah, figure out what you like to do and do more of it so that you can move through this month with greater emotional security and stability rather than letting the month control you. Now let's talk just a teeny tiny bit about that horse and goat. If you have horse in your chart, you have the horse, goat, sun, moon harmony. This means there will be something very quick that happens in your life, unexpected. Six harmony is a combination, so it means that there's collaborations, there's good people luck this month. The same if you have pig or rabbit. The goat is the catalyst for the three harmony. So if you have pig, you have a partial three harmony. If you have rabbit, you have a partial three harmony. If you have both rabbit and pig, you have the full three harmony, and you're popping out an additional wood element. What does all of these harmonies mean if you've got them? It means supportive people. It means get out and network. It means form partnerships, strengthen relationships with people that you like, or form new relationships and meet new people this month. Now, we also have two other animals we need to be paying attention to. And these form the bullying punishment. We've already talked about the ox. So if you have an ox in your chart, you are unfortunately also pulling in a dog, giving you a partial bullying punishment, so it won't be fully formed. However, if you have a dog and an ox in your chart, you have the full bullying punishment. Now, bullying punishment is exactly as it sounds. It's about emotions, and it can also make you feel like you are being bullied, ganged up upon, that you have no good choice in front of you, and it can affect your ability to stand up for yourself. So what you want to do is make sure you don't call for ultimatums, and do not put yourself in situations where someone else has more power or money. It's like signing a bad deal. Okay. It's like, oh, I've got to do this. I have no choice. And you sign yourself into an even worse situation. Make sure you're not putting yourself in a situation where someone has more power or authority over you. Get help from other people to stand up for you. That's how you handle a bullying punishment. And just don't put yourself in those situations where you're making choices and decisions or signing agreements that down the road activate that bullying punishment. So here's how it could show up. You could have a dog in your hour and an ox in your month. You could have, the goat would be the example, because the goat comes in the month, creating the full bullying punishment. Again, if you like this information and want to learn more about your own personal destiny chart, you can visit my website, click on the Enroll in Free Courses. There's 3 free ones in there talking about your day master, your guardian of destiny, and your personal life star. And it makes these sessions even deeper and more rich for you each and every month. Now, before we look and close up today, I like to keep myself honest. In May, I gave you 2 things to watch for. Both of them came to fruition. The last one, the third one, is about you, so only you can answer whether or not they came through. So I was 2 for 2 that month. So our watch lists were presented last June, in beginning of June, in the YouTube video, so you can watch that and see what I said. But here's the slide I showed. I said, watch for a formal documented public withdrawal of something concrete. Military cooperation, intelligence sharing, or trade commitment. What happened? On July 23rd, Serbia's president announced a full suspension of all weapons and ammunition exports. Every shipment halted, on the record. As an echo, Iran publicly refused to let international inspectors back into its nuclear sites. Not whispered, stated. So we saw formal public documented withdrawal of concrete issues happening. Second, I said expect a political institutional figure to emerge or reassert themselves in a way that demands response. And on June 18th, over in the UK, British Parliament, Andy Burnham won a by-election, it's called, specifically to return to the British Parliament and position himself against the Prime Minister. Within 48 hours, the Chancellor had publicly backed Andy, and the Prime Minister was in transition talks. You've all been hearing about the Prime Minister is out again in Britain. And that, my friends, is what demands response looks like on a Thursday. So, what is my watch list for this month? New month, new tape, just like last time. Here are the 2 official statements I am going to put you on watch for, on the record. We'll check them in August, see how I'm doing. And this month, the chart is being loud. I'll toss in a few bonus things to watch for too, but these are the 2 I'm putting out there. Expect a significant public revelation, a leak, an expose, a resurfaced document, or old communication that pulls the cover off of something insiders quietly already knew. This is that sun moon flash doing exactly what it does, lighting everything up and everything getting seen. And because Mercury is retrograde until the 23rd, the reveal doesn't come from something new. It comes from the past. An old email, an old recording, an old file somebody forgot was still hanging around. It's the toupee and the 7-layered dip. Except it's on a world stage. And just like that garden party, we're all going to gasp. It's going to be short. And we're all, well, we all knew. That's what we're going to say. Well, we all knew. And here's the truth. Here it is. Statement number 2. This one could be happening around the 20th. I expect a structure that everyone has politely called too big to fail to show some cracks, to visibly crack. An institution, a company, a government body, something long known to be shaky, finally buckling under pressure, forcing restructuring, maybe a bankruptcy or a high-level resignation. Hear me on this. It's not sabotage. It's not an attack. It is due to pressure. It's the well rope that everyone knew was fraying. It finally lets go in public. So here's the bonus round. So that's the one we're going to check next month. here's the bonus round, quick fire, because the whole chart is humming, kind of that same tune. Don't be surprised if water and heat on the headline cycle, drought, fire, wildfire, grid or infrastructure failure. This is a waterless month, remember? Keep an eye on food, housing, land, and the public mood. Watch for one leader, maybe, at least one, who demolishes something publicly with no rebuild plan and then pays for it. And in the final week, look for a repair, a truce or a settlement, something set down earlier this year, getting quietly picked back up, because that's how the month is going to end. So remember, it's going to end not with a bloom of the flowers, but with a well being dug. So mark those two statements down and meet me back here in August. The scorecard now reads 4 for 4. 2 months running. Every call has been on the board and on this video. I'm not saying the chart never misses. I'm simply saying it just hasn't yet. And let's see if July makes it 6 for 6. So here's my final thought for you. If you did your work in June, then this is the month to ride when everyone else is resting. If you need to do your work in July, this is the month to rest, to get clear, to release, to rebuild, to reorganize, to find your purpose, find your passion, find what makes you feel fulfilled, and start to begin to move in that direction so that you can ride out the rest of the fire horse here. I appreciate you being here with me. Like and subscribe to this channel if you're not already. Share this with a friend that you think might be interested, and I will see you next month.